This all took place a few years ago. It was sometime in July, and I decided to go on an impromptu solo road trip for a day. I'm fairly into sightseeing, and there were a couple somewhat nearby places I still wanted to cross off my bucket list before I had to go back to college in August. The plan was to wake up early to start the road trip, then see a few different places during the day, and finally start the trip back home sometime around 9 p.m. or so. I figured this way I could maximize my time without having to pay for a hotel or anything. The trip there was fine. It was the trip back that was a different story. I ended up leaving around 10 p.m. Apple Maps estimated it would take about 4.5 hours to get back home. I had done about half that when I was starting to get tired, like to the point where it was becoming dangerous to drive. I told myself the next rest stop I saw, I'd stop and take an hour nap before continuing. That way I could still get home at a somewhat decent time. So I did just that. I saw a rest stop and pulled into the parking lot. The first thing I noticed was the lack of cars. The place was completely empty, and had it not been for some lights on, I would have thought the place was abandoned. But I guess this made sense. I mean, it was really late. Anyway, I leaned back my seat and set an alarm to go off in an hour. Fast forward to when it did go off, and I realized I'd have to go inside, as I now had to use the bathroom. I started walking to the building. When I got inside, I found the bathrooms and opened one of the stalls. I was in there for not even 30 seconds when I could suddenly hear someone talking outside the bathrooms and in the hallway. This shocked me, as I didn't even hear the main door open, and my car was the only one in the parking lot just a minute ago. I didn't see how anyone could have been in here. That's when the bathroom door opened. I was a bit on edge, but I realized it was most likely just another regular person that I somehow didn't notice. I was ready to leave when slight knocks on the stall door. I awkwardly responded with,
Someone's in here.
No response. It was complete silence. I was a bit more on edge now, so I decided I'd stay in the stall until he left. That's when I noticed an eye looking through the crack in the stall's door. As we made eye contact, the guy started screaming and relentlessly beating his head against the door. Thinking quick, I used my whole body to bash into the door, bursting it open and knocking the guy off his feet. I proceeded to run as fast as I could out of the bathroom and outside towards my car. I was about halfway when I heard the main door burst open behind me. This guy was chasing me. Finally, I got to my car and started backing up. But the guy caught up to me and managed to slam his body into my car as I sped off. I looked into my rearview mirror, and as I got further away, I saw the guy get up like it was nothing and just stand there, looking in my direction. I was beyond shaken up. I couldn't process what had just happened. I honestly didn't know what to think. You always hear about crazy stories like this, but never once think it'll actually happen to you. I probably went a good 30 over the speed limit the rest of the way home. Needless to say, I wouldn't be falling asleep driving. I was now completely filled with adrenaline. I still have no idea who that guy was, where he even came from, or what his problem was. Though, if I had to guess, I would say it was probably some homeless guy who just wasn't right in the head. But then again, what homeless person would be all the way out in practically the middle of nowhere next to the highway? It didn't make sense. All I know is I've never stopped at a rest stop since, and I plan to keep it that way.